We're part of the Agape International Spiritual Center, which means we are here to abide by a holy impulse. There's a holy impulse. You know, some of you are probably familiar with the concept of life force. You might be familiar with Chi, Shakti, Prana, different names from different cultures that have been given to life force. The life force that is right now breathing your breath. Do you know that when you let go, when you're relaxed, when you fully are immersed in the primordial vibration and the natural circadian rhythm of your own beingness, when you feel totally like, maybe you feel zen, you feel peace. When you let go, those natural circadian rhythms take over, and you'll notice you are breathing effortlessly. Just the inhalation and the exhalation are happening. When your mind gets involved, when the temporal aspects of the ego get involved, and you start worrying about things, then all of a sudden you might revert into shallow breathing. Maybe you're breathing to your collarbone, or maybe just down to where it seems like your heart is. And then you might try to use force. I need to take a deep breath. And so you'll be able to execute that energy through your free will, through your free choice, where then you can usurp what is going on in the subconscious. But no, all of that is taking place within you. There are natural circadian rhythms. This is all science as well as spiritual. But the spiritual aspect is, science can tell you right now, isn't it fascinating that you can pick up the little device called your smartphone, your cell phone. You can punch in a couple numbers, and then all of a sudden information, your voice gets carried over the air, and it gets shot up to a transponder, then it gets sometimes shot up to a satellite, then it gets shot down to another transponder, it gets shot over to another phone, and then voila, you're having a communication with somebody. Science can tell you how that's happening through computer programming. They can tell you, things about the speed of light and how those things are all happening. But they can't tell you what's back of all of it. Science has been searching for millennia for what is back of all of it. They're starting to call it dark matter, the space between the space, because there has to be something. We can tell you that there's an electromagnetic energy. The Earth has electromagnetic force field. You have an electromagnetic force field. And we can tell you all that. But in our teachings, as a part of the Agape, the New Thought, Ageless Wisdom, new thought means you're having fresh ideas, inspired ideas, not once in a while. All the time is what we're headed for. We're a community that's going for the gold. Gold representing the golden thread back of all life that unites all life, which brings everything into unanimity, that brings everything into excellence, that which is part of life force. That's what we're here to do. And for you to explore. You are the scientist in your life that gets to explore and do some investigation, do some scientific research, get in there, find out what's going on in here, and see how you can bring change that is authentic. And what you will discover is that all the time, you're going to just be making your way back to the divine as you. You're going to have an indwelling experience of a revelatory knowingness that brings you into allness and wholeness. And if you follow it, it is smooth and elegant and beautiful. And if you don't, you're going to experience things like stubbing your toe, which is just my metaphor for having challenges. But we're here to transcend that as a trans-denominational community that says you have the power and everything you need within you to transcend and transform into magnificence. That was a little bit longer than I meant to explain of who we are, but welcome. Welcome to Soul Center. And is there anybody who's here for the very first time? Anybody here for the first? If you're here for the first time in person, and if you're streaming live for the first time, you can stand up, and when you come here in person, you'll stand up. But if I'm just going to invite you to stand up, if that feels delicious and comfortable for you, all we're going to do is bless you. So if you can stay seated if you want to, or you can rise. Either way, the instruction here is we're just going to extend our heart, our prayers to our hands, and we're going to say this to you. Welcome to Soul Center.
Welcome to Soul Center.
We know who you truly are.
We know who you truly are.
A divine emanation.
A divine emanation.
Formed and fashioned from the light of God.
Formed and fashioned from the light of God.
To swirl and whirl in blessings.
To swirl and whirl in blessings.
We see you. We love you. We thank God for you. Welcome Welcome to Soul Center.
Welcome to Soul Center.
You may be seated.
Yeah.
And as you hear me say from time to time, imagine a world where serenity and peace and clarity and adventure and harmony and all needs met all the time. No efforting. Imagine you feel a call from your soul that is uninhibited by any worries, doubts, or fears, and you just feel that flow through you, like if you felt called to be a musician. And everything necessary to coagulate all the serendipitous synergies that come together that allow you to have the best experience. Imagine you never experience having anxiety or fear or stress. You just are in the world and experiencing your divine self on a regular basis. I'd like you to imagine that with regularity, because, we've come into this world not to acquiesce as wallflowers, as bystanders, and just have this idea that, that's just the way it is. There is nothing in the world, and science has proven it over and over and over and over again. There is nothing in the world that's just the way it is. There's only one thing that is just that's the way it is, and God is just that's the way it is, and that way it is bliss. Some people, in the New Age areas, when they start talking from kind of an ethereal, ungrounded space, it might sound a little airy-fairy. But every master and teacher, Yeshua ben Joseph, also known as Jesus, one of the greatest master teachers, these and greater things you will do, because he was espousing and talking to the indwelling presence within all of us. We know in our teachings that God can only do for you what God can do through you. And so to become the conduit of that means you get to know who you are. You're not doing something for a man in the clouds with a beard. You're not trying to appease some deity. You are here to find out who you are and what it is that brings you joy, and allow it to synergize with the rest of life, because you are not bound by your physical, emotional, or mental body. You are woven into the fabric of life where you feel unity. It's a big idea. It is way bigger than your intellectual mind is going to understand. Your job is to allow the intellectual mind, which likes to latch on to beliefs and definitions and labels and titles, that's what it loves to do. The ego loves a punch list, and you want to integrate, where you bring illumination and revelation on a regular basis. We want to make sure that as we continue in this month of focused divinity and determination, you're going to be, whether you choose to follow what I'm saying or not, which is totally up to you, it's going to happen no matter what. There's a holy inertia, a divine impulse that is calling you into your magnificence, and it is ceaseless. That's the way it is. That's how the universe operates. And today we're talking about, the topic is an angelic tune-up. Tuning out and tuning in. What does that mean, an angelic tune-up? Angelic frequencies are just divine energies. Peace, love, beauty, joy, and the clarity of wisdom that we call inspiration. Sometimes we refer to it as an aha. When you have a revelation, you want to be sure you understand how revelation operates. Revelation operates through, it will always bring forward the best that is for everything and everyone all the time. Isn't it just amazing? Do you know that if humans were responsible for the orbiting of the planets, I think the solar system would be gone. If humans were responsible for the rotation on the Earth's axis, I don't know how good the Earth would be doing right now. If humans were responsible for making sure that nature oxygenated the air, if humans, formed and fashioned in the image and likeness of God, fully realized, fully in a revelatory state, where you are paying honest and sincere homage to wholeness, well, then we might be on a good path. You are here to abide, not by these dogmatic rules that sometimes are espoused in traditional religion. Traditional religion, which is wonderful. There's beautiful things about all of the religions around the globe. The one thing that has happened in almost all of them is that there's been misinterpretations of spiritual truth that then get translated into dogmatic practices that then become void of feeling or wisdom, and then sometimes even get coerced or manipulated into control, because that's what the ego likes to do, is control things. We're asking you, as you start to explore the grand adventure of your life, is question everything. Question everything and make it real to you. You want to make it real. You want to allow yourself to be in awe. I was doing a little bit of research to find out, because, one of the big things that's going on today is desensitization with cellular devices, all of the screens that people get up in the morning, they get on the screen of their phone, then maybe they go over to their tablet, then they get on the TV, then they get on their computer, and it's average, there's about an average in America that says people are spending anywhere between 7 to 9 hours of screen time a day. Now, some of that varies, if your job is that you have to be on a computer, you might have to say, well, I have to spend some. But if you take that out of the equation, how many people are just scrolling through? So I wanted to see, is that any worse than it was maybe back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 50s, whatever, where what people were doing? That in screen time is, imagine this. You have to go into a room where there's a device that's anchored to a plug to a wall. Maybe it had a cord that went to a box, and you had to just watch whatever was being broadcast. You didn't get to choose what you wanted to stream. You didn't even get to skip through commercials. You just had to, but some people would just be addicted to watching television on a regular basis. Prior to that, people were listening to radio on a regular basis. Now you just have a plethora of choices. Streaming services, social media, all of the above. But being distracted and being desensitized is nothing new. It's been happening since the dawn of humanity. One of the ways that people used to do it in the olden days is, instead of going on social media and picking up an idea and then gossiping and sharing it immediately right there, they would just go out and meet people, go, oh, did you hear what so-and-so said? Can you believe this? And then they would spread gossip around the globe, and, one person, when it was just the old-fashioned way. It's all still happening, and it all zeroes into a desensitization where you are desensitized to the truth. You want to make sure that you sensitize yourself. You want to connect with a freshness of life. The freshness. When you relax, if you take yoga classes, Tai Chi, Qigong, meditation classes, like this morning, all of a sudden, you'll feel the breath. Now, the full breath is when you can breathe and imagine. Now, I know your lungs end about here, but so those of you, if you take a nice deep breath and you're relaxed, you'll sometimes feel it come down to your belly button, because your diaphragm's expanding, which is why you're feeling that. But energy, life force, knows no bounds. The full breath is when you breathe and you can feel the freshness of the divine as wisdom, as life force, and it comes through your entire energy body, and it makes its way down to the bottom of your energy field. That's like the full breath. Every molecule, muscle and bone and tissue, cell, quark and atom of your beingness is feeling that freshness. And it feels delicious. It feels magnificent. And so we're here to participate. Like, I want to explore that. I want to explore. And so what you're doing is you're freshnizing yourself. We want to move in from sensitizing. We don't want to sensitize to the temporal world. We want to freshnitize. Freshnitize means you keep it fresh. To borrow the vernacular of the 80s and 90s, like, that's fresh. And you want to keep it fresh because that means you're inspired. You're keeping it alive. Life is alive whenever you go out into nature. When you see waterfalls that are cascading, gushing waterfalls, where at the top of a mountain snow fell, which is just a miraculous in its own right. And then some of it, all that snow and all that rain, and it got into all the nooks and crannies of the mountain. And then overnight, it freezes. And then all of a sudden, during the day, as spring is coming, it starts to melt. And then that melting starts to wash down. And you get to watch the life force cascading into a pool. And in the summertime, sometimes you go and you can get into one of those pools and just enjoy yourself. And it's like sometimes we have been so desensitized. A lot of times, most of you know, if you're on the daily affirmative prayer or whatever, I'm out in nature quite a bit. I love going into some of the natural wonders that we have right around here. And so when you go into nature, oftentimes when I'm hiking, I see a lot of people and they're like, oh, yeah, okay, and they're talking on the phone, and they're doing all these things, and they're not paying attention to any of the magic, any of the mystical magnificence. Now, if you're doing that, I'm not making you wrong, no shaming here. This is everything we bring into an awareness is just to, you're going to self-evaluate. In the Principled Prosperity class right now, in the very beginning of the class, I gave everybody an evaluation survey to measure where they were. It's a survey that it's just for them. It's nobody else is going to look at it, just for you, so you can evaluate where I am. How is it? How do I behave? What is the feeling tone in this particular class? We're looking at circulating and tithing and giving and sharing generously. And if it's like, oh, if I go to a restaurant and I'm going to leave a tip, and if you just, let me just see, how am I giving it? Am I giving it with obligation and a little bit of constriction or hesitation? Am I giving it with absolute love and magnificence and going, I feel the energy of circulation. I feel the energy of generosity. I feel the energy of expansion. I feel the energy. So if you're feeling into it, like I was describing before, where you're in the eternal frequencies, and you know that this is something that I've been waking up to for a long time, and that is, I am not the one, speaking of my ego, that is generating things. I'm not making my money. I'm not making a living. I am not making things happen from my ego extent. I'm allowing things to flow through me. In our community, what we believe is there are life force frequencies. If you look at the spectrum of the angelic energies of peace, love, beauty, harmony, and all of the like, they will then matriculate into space and time. Harmony matriculates into space and time in the human experience as cooperation. Cooperation turns into wellness, because wellness is cooperation in your body temple, or your emotional body, or your mental body. Wellness is also cooperation in your body of affairs. So it's like, I want to start, instead of being a bystander, I want to start to participate. That's what we've been doing in our class, where it's like, okay, let's crack through. You're going to have to crack through different areas of your life so that you can experience true freedom. You want to go deeper and higher and know that in general, this is kind of the way it works. This is both science and just logic and spirituality. Thoughts and beliefs give way to words. Words give way to actions. Actions give way to habits. And habits give way to character. Your character is basically the character you play on planet Earth. Your personality, your ego. And so you want to understand that the way that those things work is happening regardless of what you think you believe. There are certain laws that govern the universe that, the law of gravity, you go for it. Try to usurp it. The law of creation, the law of radiance, all the laws. Go ahead if you want to try to. Now, you can align with them. When you align with the law of radiance, then you're aligning with the energy of creation. When you align with that, you'll move into the highest frequency of the law of attraction. The law of attraction at the highest end, you don't even have to think about it because you're not attracting anything. You're allowing the divine frequencies to just flow through you. At the low end of the law of attraction, I'm making things happen. So we're not making anything happen. We're allowing the holy impulse to have its way. God through you is having its way. So we want to make sure that And all of that, that whole stream of consciousness is what it is. It's a stream of consciousness. Your consciousness dictates all of that from your thoughts, words, actions, habits, and character into your fate. Fate, different than destiny. All of us share the same destiny. Our destiny is that we will all be self-realized, all recognize the power and the presence of the divine, whether you call that Christ consciousness, Buddha consciousness, Krishna consciousness. Everyone shares that destiny equally. There's nobody greater or lesser in that. The only thing that you will experience that will be a little different is that you're going to just notice on this adventure, some people might be a little bit more seasoned in a particular area or less seasoned in a particular area. And that's all that you're going to notice on the way. Your job is to not get tempted by comparison. You're not going to compare yourself to other things. You're going to just compare yourself to yourself, which is why we did this survey, an intake survey of ourselves. Like, well, where am I? How would I like to be? The point of the survey is to self-assess and find out, I didn't really realize I was behaving like this. Do I want to change my behavior? Then you get to make a choice. Then the journey begins. The adventure begins because that choice is going to unlock a wave of energy, because if I was traveling this way on a fate path, and now I'm like assessing and looking, I'd rather go this way, and I'm going to change the energy to go this way, everything that would prevent me from going this way is going to start to bubble up. And you got to pay keen attention to that which bubbles up. Gently, powerfully, with a real humble sense of compassion. And oftentimes you're going to find along the journey that when you're seeking to make a shift in your life, you're going to start to see people mirroring and reflecting back to you, usually amplified by a minimum of about 10. So if I'm doing something that is keeping me from my good, and it could be considered in some realms as like, it's out of integrity. Anything that is not in alignment with pure truth is out of integrity with life. Life operates in pure synergy, in pure serendipity, and in pure truth all the time. We're talking about capital L life, the life that is right now. Gravity's taking care of stuff, all the laws that govern the universe that are orbiting, and planets and shining stars and all of that stuff. That life, the life that right now, if you were to take and look at the Hubble telescope and you look at our solar system and our Earth, you would barely be even able to see it as the big as a top of a pinhead compared to the rest of the universe. There's an enormous universe out there with galaxies, billions of them, trillions of countless stars out there, and some of us get a little myopically focused in our own lives as thinking like, this is it. There's something much greater going on, and there's an impulse calling you into that greatness. And I'm going to invite you to say, you know what, I'm just going to put on my explorer hat and start to see what's going on. Now, the key is you're going to do it benevolently. You're going to allow joy and goodness and peace and love to be the energies that bring you through. All of those coagulate together called grace. Grace is what allows you to heal anything. We have scientific report after scientific report that shows that when people bring positivity into their world, that not only the endorphins, and you've heard me speak from time to time about how dopamine gets released into your brain, which is one of those feel-good things. What dopamine also has in it is it has a kind of an urge in it. It gives you a drive to do something. But your brain must take a rest. Your brain has to stop thinking. Your brain is not only to think. Your brain is also to go into a place of absolute solitude and serenity, so that when you come back into thinking, clarity is good. There's a circadian rhythm for your brain. And so all of this screen time that everybody's doing, it's like I'm thinking. I'm going from one screen to another, one activity to another, and then it's time to go to bed. And then I wake up, and here comes the screen, and then the next screen, and the next screen, and I'm on social media, and I'm doing whatever it is. You have to, this is part of your job, you have to schedule serenity time. You have to schedule. We already know the negative ions when you go out into nature, when you allow yourself to just be still. Being still is something that you want to incorporate and build that muscle. Not a passive stillness. Not a passive stillness that is induced by something. When it comes to drugs and alcohol, which I have no judgment. But what happens when you drink a glass of wine or a beer or whatever? It shuts down the neuroconnectors within the brain, and it shuts down certain synapses within your body that allow you to feel things. Fine, that's fine. I've known people, myself included, back in the day when I was having anxiety attacks and panic attacks, there was just a couple weeks there that I needed to take a prescription, some Ativan, to calm down. What I did in that time was I was like, I am choosing not to take this as the answer. I'm choosing to seek something greater. And it was just in the an evocation of finding a holistic, homeostatic way to heal, that all of a sudden, this is why I'm here today, because I was like, I'm going to explore. How do you do this? The universe withholds nothing. God withholds nothing. This is also an erroneous idea that has been brought forward by many religions, that there are chosen people. Chosen people are those who choose. You just choose to be with the divine, you're chosen, because you're choosing. There's also people who believe that there are sins that are beyond reconciliation. Also not true. Everything is reconcilable. The journey of reconciliation, it can sometimes not be so fun, but it can be absolutely magnificent if you allow it. When you get down into the dust bunnies of things, where it's like the little things in life, where it's like, the person who's like, well, I'm just going to take an extra handful of these sweeteners while I leave the restaurant because, I need them at home. And it's like, okay, is it that big on the scale of things? Is it integrity? Is it in integrity? That's all that matters. And we're not blaming and we're not shaming anybody who's like, I need a little extra. I'm going to take a wad of straws because I need some straws. Whatever. They're there. I get it. They build it into the price. You're not here to rationalize that. Just be in integrity. I will tell you this, if you are in complete alignment and you know that God is your source and your supply, that you're not earning, that there's nothing in the economy, there's nothing out in politics, there's nothing out in world affairs, there's nothing going on in my family dynamics, my family didn't leave me this or whatever it is, there's nothing that affects you. You know that the divine is your source and your supply, you'll buy your own straws. You'll be more than happy. You'll probably buy straws for all kinds of people. Here's a box of straws. Paper straws. We're making sure that we're also in connection with the environment. We're making sure that we're in alignment. We're understanding that the person that can practice perfect inaction, all things are possible. And that's in Ernest Holmes. He's one of the forefathers of our New Thought movement. When you can practice perfect inaction, all things are possible, which means downtime, no screen time. Make sure that you're going to get out there and you're going to allow yourself to commune in nature. As a matter of fact, the assignment for this week for our soul circles, which I'm also going to extend to everybody at large, is to go out in the week and be still and listen to nature. Go out, minimally 5 minutes, maximally, get this, I'm going to put a maximum on, 20 minutes, maximum of 20 minutes, minimum of 5 minutes, just focus on the birds, or focus on the wind, the breeze, the sound it makes through the trees. Focus, if you want, you can actually just plug your ears, and you'll hear yourself breathing. With the intention that I'm going to bring my breathing into resonance with the circadian rhythms of wellness and goodness. And you'll notice if you plug your ears wherever you are, it doesn't even matter how much noise is going on. If you plug your ears, you will hear your breath. Set the intention, I'm going to allow my breath to get deeper and fuller and fresher, and just focus on it. It has to be full focus. Not, I'm sitting outside, I'm listening to the birds, oh, look at the squirrel, oh, look at that, oh, look at that go, oh, there goes the airplane, oh my, no. It's staying on the birds, or staying on the breeze, or going to the beach and staying on the crashing of the waves. You could incorporate, if you want to close your eyes for those experiences, or you could do a bi-directional experience where it's like, I'll listen to the waves and I'll watch the waves, but I will be undistracted by the outside world. Now that doesn't mean if somebody comes over to you and says, oh my God, there's, fire, that doesn't mean you're going to no, Reverend Keith said I got to stay here, for at least 5 minutes. No. We're not giving up consciousness. It means that you are putting together, and when you do participate with the divine will participate with you. We want to make sure that everything we're doing on a regular basis, that there's enough where we're not desensitizing ourselves from the world, which has been going on for millennia. And this is get this irony. The reports that are talking about desensitization because of all the screen time, and now there's recommendations, if you're up to 18 months, 0 screen time for the little ones. When you're over 18 months, about 2 hours of screen time. When you get to over 4 and 5 years, you can go up to 3 hours of screen time. Whatever it is that they're recommending now. And it's like, okay, it might have some merit. It's like, oh, those are some rules that somebody put forward. How does this work for me? This is my laboratory. This is how I'm going to do it. Maybe you're going to come up with something that's different from the recommended daily allowance of what the Food and Drug Administration says you should be eating. That whole pyramid chart of what you should be eating, not so accurate. But it is some guidelines, and I'm going to ask you to find out, become aware. What works for you? What brings wellness for you? What is, it's fine to get some information. If you're going to get information from others, your intention is this: I only interact with people and have the information that is coming to me that is accurate and in alignment with the truth of the divine, that is always leading me to a greater experience of my wholeness, my goodness, my wellness, my grandness. That's your intention, because seek and ye shall find. If I'm seeking to find out that Oreos are like the biggest superfood, that are nutrient dense, and that they're amazing for you, and I want to find people that are going to corroborate that, I'll find them. Oh, you won't believe what's in Oreos. They just started putting a little bit of mushroom in there. There's a little reishi. There's a little bit of mugwort in there. So they're good for you now. Don't mind the preservatives and the sugar and all the other things that are in there. No, if you're going to seek and find, make sure you're only seeking that which resonates with you at the highest frequency that begets your good. That's what we're all going to agree to. When you are in perfect peace, which means I'm unplugged. This is the tuning out. Tuning out means I'm going to tune out the temporal world, and I'm going to tune into the divine. The divine is not something outside of you. It is something within you. It is more intimate and more who you are than anything else. There's nothing more intimate, nothing more closer than your neck vein and your breathing. God is, which is synonymous with your soul is. You're becoming familiar with you as being formed and fashioned in the image and likeness of God. So I'm just going to invite everybody. We're all going to be in agreement that we're going to say, you know what? I'm going to put on my Dora the Explorer hat, and I'm going to start to see, like, what good am I going to expand? What good am I going to just lavish with brilliance in my life and seek, so that I can understand that I am going to take dominion over my life, where I'm aware of my thoughts and be like, oh, that thought's about to beget a habit, that's about to beget a pattern that is going to fate me into some discord. Oh, no, I'm going to switch and go in a different direction. This is where if you're a spiritual scientific nerd like I am, you're going to be like, oh, the quantum field. That's one of the ways that you can use a metaphor for infinite benevolent potentials and possibilities. And it's like, ooh, which way am I going to launch the energy? Oh, that, no, oh, yes, this is the way I want to launch the energy. And I will evolve into its magnificence. We're all in agreement to allow that to be, yes?
Yes.
All right, with that being said, I'm going to invite you to join me as we just tune and turn within. We take a moment and we allow ourselves to be overwhelmed with gratitude. Not that you have to find anything to be grateful for. If you do, wonderful. But just feel its frequency, deep and abiding awe, deep and abiding appreciation. Appreciation for the life that is coursing through us right now. And right now, no matter what is going on in anybody's body temple, wellness is there. Wellness is underneath everything. We're going to say yes to allowing that wellness to expand. Oh, how good it is to know that this is the very holy inertia undergirding all life. The divine frequencies that are only seeking to beget you. As Rumi the mystic would say, that which you are seeking is seeking you. We are speaking of the purest, highest form of desire. We open to that and we recognize that all of this is taking place through the omni-activity of the divine, that which we call God, the universe, Jehovah, Hashem, Adonai, Dios, the Great One, Hoda, Allah, all the names that all say to the same power, the same presence, the same God. There is one almighty, magnificent bliss that indwells within each of us. This is indisputable, eternal. We say, yes, I know that I am formed and fashioned in the image and likeness of God, and something wonderful is seeking to rise up and be met with my choice, right choosing in the direction of the grand and glorious good for everyone and everything in my life, including myself. I am grateful to speak this word on behalf of each and every one of us, knowing we have all said yes to a greater and grander goodness, spaciousness, clarity, optimism, faith than ever before. We simply agree to allow it all to be right here, right now, by saying, and so I let it be. And so it is. Amen. 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 Ashe. Aho. Mahalo. Shalom. Hotep. And hallelujah. All right, so it is time for our ushers to come forward, our beautiful volunteers that I'm truly grateful for. These are our beautiful ushers, and this is our time of tithing or donating or investing or just giving, whatever feels right and good to you. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, which means giving is how we exist. These are the different ways that you can give through Venmo, Zelle, mail a check, use the QR code. All of it is safe and secure. We appreciate that. And as Jackie Simone is here, I'm going to invite the ushers. If you see somebody putting a blue butterfly in the basket, that just means they're on the auto tithe program. They're not just giving us blue butterflies. Thank you, ushers, and take it away.